Hey everybody, welcome.
Round two.
Round two, fight.
Yeah,
welcome to
this is our second attempt at doing this episode now because the first one was vile.
Yeah, so so this is gonna be, and you'll probably notice because I feel like for whatever reason my mic especially was running pretty hot that day, and I've tweaked some things now, so hopefully it doesn't, the audio, but you might notice a difference in the audio because this is going to be kind of spliced from two separate recording sessions. So
yeah,
for whatever reason,
the first time we tried to do an episode, it fucking sucked dick. So we're trying to do a an actually acceptable episode.
Yeah, I don't know if it sucked. Do you think it sucked?
I mean, it kind of sucked.
Oh, all right. Well, I was gonna say I thought it was pretty funny, but also, yeah, it's just.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely funny, but I think that's more of like that's just Cam and Evan.
Yeah, that it was. It's gonna remain in our private reserve.
Yeah.
That's gonna. It's just an outtake. It's just an outtake.
It's gonna remain on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, there was a lot of and some of it, a good amount of it will stay in. There's a lot of inside humor that will remain in the episode, but. It really took on the tone of kind of more of a private conversation between the two of us about some of our thoughts on specifically the adult film industry, which again, none of them, you shouldn't be too alarmed, but just the subject matter isn't in line with, basically, as Evan put it, it kind of just turned into like a Cumtown episode, and that's never been our vibe. I mean, we've always had an element of let's say toilet humor in our repertoire.
But yeah, this was just Cam and Evan's suck and fuck hour, and
it got too sweaty. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of rehash some things, but also just talk about some new stuff, and then some of the because half of that episode was great and good. So if you noticed that, that's why. Also, I did just want to add disclaimer that one of the things that we talk about in the episode is a story that's complicated, right? Yeah. It's complicated because it's a story about that contains elements of animal abuse, right? Which is not something that Evan and I like, and we both feel like we shouldn't have to say that, but
I don't think we've taken a pro animal abuse stance in the past.
I mean, our third co-host Sancho is an animal himself. And I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, I'm not racist, I voted for Obama, but Sancho's here and he'll say something if he feels like we've stepped out of line. But we're both animal lovers. I wouldn't even just say we're not animal abuse advocates, but we both really like them. And so when you hear us laughing and joking about this story, I want to make it clear
we're laughing at the dog in the woods.
Yeah, there's a story about a dude who fucked his dog in the woods. You've probably heard the story. And the guy he's the goose. Spoiler alert, that's the goose of the week. The way that he handled
the show. We don't think animal abuse is funny, but we think the way that this man approached the reaction to him abusing his animal was very funny.
He is the joke, and the dog is not the joke.
The poor border collie.
Yes. In our thoughts and our prayers. Yeah. Now, when it's two animals abusing each other, I feel like that's okay.
When it's brother manatees.
When it's two manatee brothers.
Have at it, gentlemen.
By all means, that's good and great. Yeah. But anyhow, that out of the way. I don't want to get too bogged down in that. So we are going to talk about some other stuff to start the week. But one thing that I did mention, and I just want to briefly mention it here, one thing that I did mention in the now cut part, and it's kind of too woven in to leave it in, so I just want to reiterate it here. I talked at fairly great length about what I consider to be the finest piece of amateur pornography ever created. Which is of course cake farts. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I have, Evan has known me for a long time now, like 12 years or something, maybe longer, and it's been a part of our relationship since then. I think I discovered it around that time, and I just want you all to be aware of it if you're not already. I do want it to crescendo in popularity. So if you haven't yet seen Cake Farts, be forewarned, it is technically adult and explicit material, but it's also just wildly funny and great. And Yeah. I stand by my appreciation of it as a work of sort of amateur art.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Bat Pussy myself.
That was a hysterical movie.
I'm not even sure that you could call that porn. The attempt to create porn was there, but I'm not sure you can call that porn. There's not really a lot of sex in it.
Yeah, I think
it's really just like seemingly a married couple saying the meanest shit on earth to each other.
Yeah,
because the guy can't get hard.
You motherfucker. You mother, and he's just like, you motherfucker. I'm gonna fuck you, you motherfucker. She's like, you can't even get it up, motherfucker. You'd fuck me if you could, but you can't, motherfucker. And he's like, well, I am gonna fuck you, you motherfucker. Guess what? And then it's just interspersed with shots of like a naked Batgirl bouncing around on one of those inflatable bouncy balls that the big riding,
just like in Flyover Country.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like 40 minutes long, and that's like the whole thing.
And then, cut back to the attempt at the sex scene.
Yeah.
Just you wait until I get my dick hard, motherfucker. I'm gonna fuck you, you motherfucker. You can't fuck me, motherfucker. You can't even get that dick hard. Dude, it's outstanding.
Funny. Yeah.
So this should give you guys an idea that, like, if this is the stuff that we're leaving in, you don't really need to hear the rest of it. It was rough.
Yeah. Outtakes.
Yeah, outtakes. And what do you do with outtakes? You take them out.
Yeah. You take them out. You don't leave them in.
You don't leave them in.
All right. Anyway, so without much further ado, I suppose, let's start the show.
Okay. Wait, now?
Correct.
Okay.
Anyway, now that we're on the subject, I would like to bring up today's New York Post article, which is actually 2 months old. And this is another one I kept wanting to read, but I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So just a content warning: there's bestiality in this.
Oh, gross.
So, if probably content warning, I suppose this whole episode is. I guess it's to this point quite not safe for work. So don't listen to it. Outside of AirPods at work, but
don't put this on while you're like cooking dinner for your kids.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
I mean, this episode is this is bad even by our standards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There was one of my real life friends. She's listened to the podcast since day one, and she said one time she was listening to it, and she had somebody was supposed to come over, like some kind of contractor or something, and she paused it when he came over.
Yeah.
And she waited until he left and then turned it on. She said immediately when she turns it on, we just start talking about like diarrhea or something. Just like shitting. And she was just like, dude, thank you. She was like, I'm so happy I paused it when that guy came over.
It's tough. I think that it's probably a large part of why we're not more successful, but I also think that it's a large part of the legitimate charm of our friendship and our relationship.
I don't think it is. There's definitely way more disgusting podcasts than ours that have done very well.
Totally. I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of the people that get that sort of immediate bump are people that really pander to, like, the broadest audience possible, and I think that we haven't done that. You know what I mean? We have such a niche thing, and it's still growing.
But we have a diehard audience.
Yeah, there's like more and more people every month that are getting on board with, and I know that some of you fuckers are going to want to hear about cake farts. And in the off chance that any of you degenerates haven't seen it, I am honored to, because like I said, I've spread this
sickos that listen to us.
I've spread cake farts around in a very grassroots way among my close
I
friends.
never heard about it until I knew you. And and cake farts is there's a fold in my brain dedicated to cake farts.
Exactly.
Ever since I've known you,
it's permanent, and I know so many people for whom that's the case, and now all of you can join, unless you're already on board. But I encourage you to reevaluate it if you're already aware of cake farts and have kind of dismissed it as some sort of cheap piece of
gauche.
It's gauche. I encourage you to reevaluate its artistic merit and begin introducing it to those around you. I would love for it to go some version of porno viral, 20 years after it was filmed, and achieve some sort of internet fame. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway,
New York Post, right? I promise you, I can keep my mouth shut about cake farts for.
I'm not sure you can once I start reading this. Penn State professor Themis Matsoukas accused of performing sexual acts with his dog. Mm-hmm. Quote, "I do it to blow off steam."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. A longtime and award-winning Penn State professor allegedly performed sexual acts with his dog in sickening displays that were captured on a State Forest trail camera. This is by David Proper, again in the New York Post.
He would do it, out on the hiking trail?
Yeah.
That's not cool, man. I don't like that. Animal abuse.
Yeah, no, this is animal abuse. So Themis Matsoukas, 64, was charged Tuesday after he was allegedly caught earlier this year naked from the waist down, except for socks and shoes, committing the perverted sex acts with his collie near bathrooms at Rothrock State Forest in Pennsylvania.
Near the bathrooms?
Reports. Dude, yeah, he would go out onto a trail. Do this at home, sick fuck.
Don't do it at all.
Yeah, don't do it at all.
Here's the thing. He clearly gotten to the point where he was he felt like he was so good at fucking his dog. You know what I mean? You know how people that commit crimes, they get bolder and bolder?
Yeah, he's doing it near the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there are so many places on a trail where if you want to have sex with your dog, you can do it and not get caught. I've never thought of that before, but I'm immediately realizing that this guy must have wanted someone to see. And here's the thing, that poor dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ugh.
Collies aren't the biggest dogs.
It doesn't. That's not. That's not why it's Evan.
I know.
It's not a size issue.
I'm just saying.
Dogs are just. Guys, just don't fuck your dogs.
Yeah, absolutely no. But Jesus Christ, what the fuck? So then Matsoukas, who was on leave from the university, was identified through a North Face backpack he was carrying from an incident in April and also May, according to a criminal complaint cited by the Center Daily Times.
So they were building a case against him.
Yes. He allegedly tried to record himself performing the lewd acts with an electronic tablet, according to the trail cam footage. Fox 43 reported.
Can you imagine being in one of this guy's classes and getting a free A for the semester, not having to go to class and just being okay, you're good, whatever. And then explaining to what happened at school? Well,
he was fucking his dog.
My sociology professor was caught with the in flagrante delicto with a sea bass. It's just not. Oh boy.
Now, after Matsoukas was identified as the possible suspect, rangers from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources searched his home earlier this month, again this is in June, and he went into a panic, the complaint reportedly states. At one point, investigators told him they thought he knew why they were searching his home, leading Matsoukas to reply repeatedly, "I'm done, I'm dead," the charging documents alleged. He also begged rangers to shoot him, saying, "I need to die," and additionally told investigators, "I do it to blow off steam," the documents reportedly stated. The rangers were reportedly able to find the backpack and ski mask that was visible in April footage. They also saw a collie in his home that matched the dog in the video, according to docs. Matsoukas was a chemical engineering professor dating back to 1991, receiving at least 3 teaching awards during his tenure, the Center Daily Times reported. Themis Matsoukas has been relieved of his responsibilities and is on leave, the school told the newspaper. His attorney, Matthew McClanahan, didn't have much to say Wednesday, telling the publication it would be inappropriate to make any comment at this time. Matsoukas was charged with open lewdness, indecent exposure, and sexual intercourse with an animal, misdemeanors, and summary charges of cruelty to animals.
They're only misdemeanors?
No, as well as misdemeanors, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I think the other ones are felonies, and then like indecent exposure, that's a felony, right?
I don't know. Indecent exposure is probably not a felony.
Maybe not.
I don't know, but fucking your dog ought to be.
Yeah, bestiality should be. He allegedly has been partaking in... Here's the kicker. You ready for this? He allegedly has been partaking in lewd acts in the forest since 2014, according to authorities.
Wow.
Doesn't specify animals or humans. Themis Matsoukas is for sure he's the goose of the week.
Well, I wouldn't want him near a goose.
Yeah. Is it all animals or just dogs or quadrupeds? Are geese involved?
Although I will say that's a. You remember the movie Dr. Dolittle? Well, there's the original, but then they made the Eddie Murphy one. That's a facet of it that's an untapped facet of the movie.
Oh,
yeah. What if
this guy
what if one of the animals
left
started
right?
flirting with him?
Yeah, true. Dude, this guy just like begging the Rangers to shoot him and saying he needs to die.
Isn't that a thing in Baldur's Gate? Can't you Isn't there a shape-shifting character that you can have sex with and they turn into a bear during the scene or something?
Well, there is Halsin, and he's a druid, and the creature turns into a bear, and you can fuck like any of the companions. So I would imagine you could do that. I'm currently romancing this half-elf baddie, so we've smooched, but nothing more.
Dude, I don't. So maybe that's why there's no love in my life right now, because I don't have Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And digital romance is what I crave.
Okay. It's better than animal romance.
Well, we can't call that romance, I don't think.
Yeah.
This goes back to my previous statement about...
Super fucked up.
My previous statement about consenting adult humans. That's who you can fuck.
Yeah.
And any of them that you want to, as long as they also want to.
Any adult that's consenting.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what they're...
Any legal adult that's consenting.
I don't care who's fucking or
preferably
who's
within
fucked.
A tight age range.
But if they can't say yes...
They can't talk because they're a different species.
Yeah, or for any reason.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I don't know. There's people that are mute.
No, but they can speak. They can't speak, but they can communicate.
If they have vocal cord damage or something.
But they can communicate. Sign language, you've heard of this.
They don't have arms. What if they don't have arms?
They can nod.
Paralyzed.
Yeah, maybe at that point. Yeah, then maybe that's the line. Maybe we've found the line. Yeah, that's a person who cannot consent. We've found the line.
Yeah.
If they have if there's no way of them letting you know that they want to do it,
communicative abilities.
If there's no way of them knowing that you want to do it, yeah. And I think you got to take the hint on that one.
Yeah, you got.
Come on, fellas.
Yeah. Let's stick to communicative adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well,
in whatever fashion they communicate.
Yeah.
As long as it's mutually intelligible. I mean, after the manatee thing, I'm sure that people, the Post is realizing they got a lot of hits on that.
Yeah. Well, this one is from before that. This was a big story a few weeks ago, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he was quite a renowned professor by all accounts.
What was he a professor of again?
Chemical engineering, I think.
Chemical engineering.
3 teaching awards. Yeah. Dude, just him begging them to shoot him is so fucked up, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I think he's aware that what he's doing is horrible.
Yeah, dude's got fucking nothing but socks, shoes, and a ski mask on, and he's trying to record himself banging his fucking dog on a trail outside the bathrooms. This dude is a fucking freak, dude.
In, like, the middle of hiking season. All right, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. That's horrible. That's a horrible story.
He does it to blow off steam. I don't know. Try something else, bud. Get some fucking
there are so
acupuncture, man.
There are so many hobbies.
Yeah, there's so many things that you could do.
Make model airplanes or something, or model Gundams,
or fucking little boats and bottles.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. Get into drinking colloidal silver. Like, there's all sorts of ways to fill your time.
Yeah.
Become one of those blue people.
What, like the guy who tattooed himself like the avatars?
No, I'm saying, like, because there's people that think drinking colloidal silver is, like the ultimate health cure, but it actually just causes silver buildup in your skin and your organs and can turn your tissues blue. So if you drink enough of it, you start to dye your insides, and then if you drink more of it, you start to dye your outsides. And so you can be blue. I'm going to find... I forgot that I had a porn site up, so I'm like, I open up like, what the fuck? Like, why is there just a big old fucking ding dong right there? This one's gone off the absolute deep end. This started as a history show, folks. But Evan and I are so busy, and we don't want to not put out episodes. So it's like, here we are,
just degrading ourselves for you people.
Yeah, here we are doing the thing. So you can turn yourself blue like this guy. Oh.
I can. It's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of artifacts going on the screen. You're trying to show me that.
He's blue from drinking colloidal silver.
Anyway, I did also now that we've just really gone off the deep end. I did have something serious to talk about as well. So I did want to talk a bit about what the fuck has been going on in Ecuador over the last week and couple months. So. You've heard about some of this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, about a week ago, there was a presidential candidate was assassinated, and this was, his name was Fernando Villavicencio, who was, he was the presidential candidate for a sort of center-right party in Ecuador. However, he's very, an environmentalist and very staunchly anti-crime and anti-organized crime and corruption. And he was murdered, and this was on Twitter, I fucking saw it. He was assassinated right after a campaign stop as he got into his car, surrounded by police and his bodyguards. And then fucking just this week, yesterday, a leader of a left-wing party, Revolución Ciudadana, whose name was Pedro Briones, he was just assassinated as well. So I'd like to read right now, this is from the AP, this is from today by Regina Garcia Cano, and it's a political leader in Ecuador is killed less than a week after presidential candidate's assassination. And so, the unprecedented violence shaking Ecuador claimed the life of another political leader Monday, bringing the number of politics-related slayings within the last 4 weeks to 3, including that of a presidential candidate. The fatal shooting of Pedro Briones, a local leader of Revolución Ciudadana, the party of former President Rafael Correa, was confirmed by Luisa Gonzalez, the frontrunner in Sunday's special presidential election and member of the same party. The shooting happened in the northern province of Esmeraldas. Details were not immediately available. Ecuador is experiencing its bloodiest era, Gonzalez tweeted, a heartfelt hug to the family of colleague Pedro Briones, fallen by the hands of violence. The killing of Briones, who was a political leader in a rural area of San Mateo de Esmeraldas, came less than a week after the South American country was rocked by the assassination in broad daylight of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio, who had a famously tough stance on organized crime and corruption. Villavicencio was killed at the end of a political rally in Quito, the capital, despite having a security detail that included police and bodyguards. Their slayings followed the July 26th fatal shooting of the mayor of Manta, Ecuador's third largest city. Agustin Intriago, 38, had recently been reelected to a term that began in May. And really, I wanted to talk about this really because I feel like we've kind of got a beat right now in our podcast where we really cover sort of like a lot of the post Operation Condor, like kind of like the. I mean, this is like what America has turned, Latin America and South America into. We've got episodes on Pedro Castillo and his election, and he's been ousted since in a coup, as well as, the dictatorship in the 90s of Alberto Fujimori. And we've also got, we've talked about, obviously, the MAS party in Bolivia with Evo Morales and his rise to power and the subsequent coup that took him out, but then his party coming back to power. And, Cam had his trip to Nicaragua, and, he's talked a little bit about kind of the goings-on there. But, I don't know, I kind of just want to talk about this, and, I don't know, Cam, hear your thoughts as well.
Well, I mean, you sort of, I don't have a whole lot to add, truthfully. I mean, it's definitely alarming anytime you see a country that's so firmly within our orbit, that destabilized. Yeah. And I think you're right to draw the connections to our own actions in that part of the world. But yeah, I don't know much more about it, so I don't have anything else to add. Really, it's just, I mean, it's certainly not anything that we haven't kind of talked about before. Like it's just unfortunate because, in my extremely limited experience, not in Ecuador but in a neighboring country, like, people are very much actively living with the consequences of our actions down there, and it's just clear that, despite decades of distance between, like, overt action down there and now, that hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's fucked. It's definitely fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess I'll just continue here with the article. So thousands of people have been killed over the past 3 years in Ecuador as the country has transformed into a major drug trafficking hub, and cartel-aided local gangs battle for control of the streets, prisons, and drug routes. Crime and violence have dominated the discussions around Sunday's election. In an interview with the Associated Press, Gonzalez said she revamped her security detail following Villavicencio's killing, but continued to refuse to wear a bulletproof vest, arguing that she is a Christian woman. "I have faith in God. He is the one who takes care of us," she said.
Nice.
Yeah, I would caution her to maybe reconsider that.
Yeah, I mean, God's been letting Christians get martyred since day one, dude. That's like the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, that's it's
fundamental to the faith, my man, my lady, my dude.
He let himself get martyred. As a matter of fact.
Day one. Like, day one shit is like, God will let you get killed for sure. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe pick a better God, like one that will let you like paint yourself with some kind of blood or something, and then, or do some kind of ritual and gain protection that way. But the Christian God, no, I don't think he's really the one for that.
Yeah, I don't think he's protecting too many people.
No.
So, should she become president, and this is continuing with the article, should she become president, she said she plans to take a tough stance on crime, cleaning up police forces, increasing control along the country's borders, and investing in equipment for law enforcement. Gonzalez criticized the government of President Guillermo Lasso for lacking control inside detention facilities, which she said prisoners in organized crime have turned into their productive and recreational centers. At least 400 inmates have died since 2021 during various riots.
That's a crazy figure.
Yeah. Because Ecuador is not a massive country. How many people live in Ecuador? It's
I can tell you, it's
yeah, it's more than I thought. So it's like 18 million people. But so 400 since 2021 during various riots have been killed, inmates.
Oh, so it's like twice as big as Nicaragua.
Yeah. I was thinking it was around 10 million, but it's about 18. On Saturday, authorities moved the leader of one of the country's most powerful gangs, Los Choneros, into a maximum security prison. Villavicencio had accused the group and its leader, Adolfo Macias, alias Fito, whom he linked to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, of threatening him and his campaign team days before the assassination. And this is one of the reasons I really want to talk about this, because that line that I just said, he is this, this anti-cartel stance, anti-organized crime that he's taking, including against Adolfo Macias, who is linked to the Sinaloa cartel. Now, one of the things with the Mexican drug cartels to know of is that a lot of these, especially, like Los Zetas, a lot of these guys in these cartels were or at least were Los Zetas. Los Zetas was built by Mexican special forces. Guess where the Mexican special forces were trained? Fort Bragg.
No, that makes sense.
Right here in the States by American special forces.
Yeah.
And and obviously the United States through the CIA has a long and storied history of working hand in glove. Some might even say the cartels as an extension of the CIA for its drug smuggling operations. And so again, just like I said, this is like this post-Condor world here in Latin America that is still to this day. We still, like, the Cold War may be over, but we're still seeing all of this political violence right here. Right here in our neighbors.
Yeah.
So continuing, the gang boss was moved out of a jail with lighter security into a maximum security prison, and the same large complex of detention facilities in the port city of Guayaquil. The transfer occurred after about 4,000 soldiers and police officers raided the jail where Macias was being held and seized weapons, ammunition, and explosives in the jail.
Jesus.
Like, they got explosives in the fucking jail.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
It's so I know that Ecuador is not neighboring El Salvador, but
yeah.
It's just an interesting juxtaposition to, like, so have you followed that situation at all? How, like, the new president of El Salvador has basically just, like, mass arrested, like, 300,000 people. And
he's not even really the new president. He's been there for years. He was buying, like, Bitcoin by the hundreds of millions.
Jesus.
Because he thought Bitcoin was going to be the next big thing, and he kept bragging that he was buying it on the dip, and he bought like 100 million in Bitcoin right before the massive crash, and this like destroyed so much of his country's, like, fucking reserves and shit, buying all this Bitcoin. He was the Bitcoin president. He was going to fucking cryptocurrency conferences. Nayib Bukele. But you were saying, what was
he was in the news in the last few months because he has fairly effectively, if you believe the hype, dealt with the gang problem, particularly, like, MS-13, which is the major Salvadorian gang that's got a huge presence in the States as well and throughout Central and South America. They were in charge, basically, of large parts of that country, and he threw, like, 300,000 people into jail, like, built a bunch of new detention centers. Now, there are obvious humanitarian concerns that, like, a huge percentage of those people are likely not actually gang members and just got, like, swept. Like, I think it's just, like, if you have tattoos, you're going to jail. Like, there were huge, just mass arrests of people. So I'm not condoning that. I don't think that's, like, but there's the fucking the crime problem has dipped seriously. And then you look at Ecuador and, the prisons, they've got bombs. I don't know. It's just like, how if neither one of these options is, like, the humanitarian or the right option, it's like, what? Fuck, man. Like, the problem is dire.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nayib Bukele is also, I would say, the world leader that most looks like he would be DJing at a club.
Trying to think.
Famous for wearing the the white backwards cap.
Volodymyr Zelensky has kind of a fucking club DJ look.
I don't think he has a club DJ look. I mean, I think he has a club drug user look.
You think he looks like he does drugs?
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think he looks like he would be DJing at a club. Like, I'm talking, like, Nayib Bukele's whole thing, like, his, if you look at, like, how he dresses and shit when he goes out, absolutely, dude. You think Zelensky does with his stupid-ass fatigues that he always wears?
No, not with the fatigues. I just think that a lot of those Eastern European guys make me think of... I don't know. They look like DJs. Like, they'd be like, oh, yeah, disco. Finest, is best club in all of Kiev. You know, like... I don't know. That's just what I'm...
I don't know. I don't think him, though.
Okay, fine. He doesn't look like a DJ. You can be right.
Jesus. Anyway, so continuing... in response, jail inmates on Monday protested and hung signs demanding Macias be transferred back. "We want peace, return Fito," read one of the signs visible from the road outside the complex. I assume just by the way that that's worded that it was written in English, which always when there's a country where English isn't the main language and people are holding up signs in English, I think you might want to start thinking about exactly who's that message for.
Yeah.
Because if everybody in the country speaks Spanish and then there's a sign that's in English, it's because they want somebody who speaks English to read it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With Alex Herbert when he was on our episode, and he's talking about that graffiti that was in Georgia, and it was written in English with like these perfectly stenciled graffiti. He's like, somebody paid for this, and they paid for it because they want somebody to read it.
Yeah.
You know, specific people.
Right.
The sign in Georgia that said in English, "Russia is a terrorist state." But I digress. So it says, read one of the signs visible from the road outside the complex, which dozens of police officers and members of the armed forces guarded after spores of Macias arrived on motorcycles to protest his relocation. Authorities have not disclosed the motive for Villavicencio's killing. An Ecuadorian judge on Friday ordered preventive detention for 6 Colombian men, described by... Colombia, again. Little spook alarms going off. Described by authorities as being suspected of involvement in the slaying. Because, again, remember that attempted coup in Venezuela during Trump's tenure, and it included a bunch of Colombians in it?
Oh, yeah.
So the FBI is assisting in the investigation. Authorities did not immediately release details of Briones' slaying. The country's national police tallied 3,568 violent deaths in the first 6 months of this year, far more than the 2,042 reported during the same period in 2022. The year ended with 4,600 violent deaths, the country's highest in history, and double the total in 2021.
I feel bored tonight. I look to my guitar, she's shaking her head, shaking her head. She said, "You've been a bad guy. You can no longer play and sing 'cause your head's in the sink."
Yeah.
Things are getting weird in Ecuador.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of political assassinations going down.
Yep. Yep. Scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Scary stuff.
Yes, sir.
Wonder who's behind it all.
No way of knowing.
Yeah. I couldn't even venture a guess. I couldn't possibly, sir.
Yeah, sir. I could not.
Oh, I couldn't, sir.
Sir,
I lack the evidence, sir. Or the inclination,
the Constitution. Sir. I lack the Constitution,
I lack the Constitution for such a spurious claim, sir.
Just doing an inside joke that none of our listeners would get.
So, yeah, it's a lot. Well, I think everybody figures that stuff out pretty quickly. Like, look, Evan and I have been doing this show. We've said this before. We've been doing this show for like 5 years. It's just we've only been recording it for...
We were doing it for 5 years before we started it.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a back catalog of things you'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never
know.
Yeah, we'll let you in on the cake farts.
Oh, we haven't even really dived into the Kingdom of Hull.
Oh God!
That was our first idea for a podcast, was to do a show about the Kingdom of Hull.
So for the listeners at home, Cam and I have this long-going bit about a fake Scandinavian kingdom called the Kingdom of Hull, where we started developing this entire like history and mythology.
Yeah.
Like the mythological king Tuki Torkentak. You know, and like I think one time we were moving out of my my old apartment where my landlord had the last name Jorgensen, and we were talking about Jorgensen's maneuver, and then we came up with
that was your landlord's last name?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even remember that part. But yeah, the Jorgensen maneuver is it's some rotation of a mattress.
They're carrying the couch down the stairs, and you have to do this pivot where you lift it up and then turn it.
Yeah,
you know
around.
I mean, right?
Yeah, so that it
so you can get it around corners.
We were cracking ourselves. The Jorgensen maneuver.
Dude, we were like
perfect execution. You know, before the invention of the maneuver, a man could not even have a sofa in his home. It was, of course, not until 1975 when Helgi Jorgensen invented his patented maneuver that the man could finally sit in peace in his own home without building a house around the sofa.
The sofa, yeah.
Prior to this, if you wanted the sofa, you would choose a spot, leave the sofa, and then erect the home.
Erect the house around.
But now, with the power of modern science and geometry...
And Helge Jorgensen.
God bless his soul.
Peace be upon him.
So anyway, I think that was one of the original things that I wanted to do was like...
We were going to do a podcast where Hull was hosting these pan-European games,
and they were even that. I think it was that they were making a bid to host either the Olympics or these games.
It was a pan-European,
like a cultural package of podcast episodes where they displayed their culture for the
history
world.
And culture,
their history and culture for the world.
It was an overlooked kingdom to the north of Norway.
Yeah. I don't know if it was an island or what, but it's somewhere up there.
Up in Arctic
with
Circle.
an umlaut LL.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and the people were called
sound off on the site formerly known as if you want us to fucking do that, because that would actually be really fun. We should do those episodes.
Now that we've got some podcasting under our belt,
I know. Maybe. I feel like because that was kind of an ambitious thing at the start, but maybe we could
it could be some paywalled content or something.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, not your father's hole.
Yeah,
that's what it was called.
That's what it was. Not your father's hole. Welcome back, of course, to another edition of Not Your Father's Hole. This week we will, of course, be discussing the great. I don't fucking know. The Great Whitefish Famine of 1953. Many sons and daughters of Hull were starved in that year, I can tell you.
So if you want to hear about Not Your Father's Hole, sound off. Yeah, let us know. you can reach out, email us.
And their most famous seaman, Rolf for Brown Breeches.
The greatest seaman.
The greatest of seamen.
Yes.
Also based on his geographic location, probably the wettest and the whitest of seamen as well.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Anyway,
Lots of seamen are wet and white, but of course,
but this one is the
from
whitest and
very far
also
up
the
there,
wettest.
right in the Black Sea, and he's not the Black Sea, the
Baltic.
North Sea, the Baltic
North
Sea.
Sea.
And he's a very wet and white seaman
It is a wet sea.
with the brownest of breeches.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is, dude, these fucking like fascist the Blind Side, the story about that
Oh,
the
yeah,
guy from the
dude.
Blind Side.
Yeah.
Which I just want to say this couple is like, I think they're the most American couple on earth.
If you look at them, yeah. I mean, her hair.
I mean, it's
so-
also they're like the the small American fascist franchisees too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's nobody more American than the fucking asshole who owns like 15 franchisees and is a millionaire, just basically off of paying like kids like $8 an hour. And then these fuckers took it to the next step, and they're like, "What if we like tricked a kid into signing
What if
his
we
rights to
bought a football star? Yeah. Dude, that's like what it is. And so here's the thing about this, right?
All right, so well, first off, for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about Michael Oher, right? Is that how you pronounce
I think it's
his last
Oher,
name?
yeah.
I'm not sure, but who was a football player? He was an NFL player for a number of years, made pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, I think he played. He was in the NFL for like 7 years, which for was he a D lineman?
I think he was offensive lineman.
Well, either okay. So for a lineman in the NFL, I mean, 7 years is a pretty solid career. Those dudes take a fucking physical beating. So this is somebody who is basically like just a gladiator and hurt himself professionally for entertainment, which I just think is important to note.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and so he was a tackle in the NFL. So he became quite famous because there was a story written about, so like he grew up and he was kind of like a neglected child. I think his dad was in and out of prison, and his mother was a drug addict. And so as a teenager, he was like struggling in school. He gets well, apparently not, but as the story went, adopted by this family.
Yeah. And in the movie, that's the narrative, is that he's adopted.
Yeah, and also in the book that it's based off, right? Because it was based on the book as well.
The book isn't just about... So the book is actually more about... and I haven't read the book, but I read about the book in reading about the story. It's about football as a whole and like the way that the game has changed. And then one sub story of the book is the true story of Michael Oher and his transition from, I think, playing college football to professional football that season where he entered the draft.
Yeah. And I think it also should be stated, too, that this occurs in one of the most evil places in America, Memphis, Tennessee, and that Michael Oher is a black man, and that the family that adopted him was white.
The whitest white people you've ever seen.
I mean, and like a super racially segregated, city, Memphis, that has, a lot of violent crime and whatnot, and so apparently what happened, was that he did not actually get adopted.
He was over 18.
They took advantage of him and had him, and took conservatorship over him, and apparently claimed that they were adopting him.
Yeah, so as it was explained to him, so he was in a really tough situation. He was a senior in high school. He was 18, and he had grown up in a really tough situation. Memphis, obviously, as Evan said, there are really, really tough parts of that city. And he was homeless. And as the story goes, and the way that this is presented in the movie, which I haven't seen, and I won't see, because even in 2011, I was like, that is not a thing that I am going to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can talk more about that movie in a minute, but he was a classmate of these people. What is their name? I forget their name.
The Twohies, right?
The Tuies or the Twohies, whatever,
Twohies,
however you say
yeah,
it. He was a classmate of their daughter, and the matriarch of this family, the Sandra Bullock lady, she with the hair. She's got this fucking hair, and she saw him and was like, hey, that boy needs a home. And it started with, let's take him in. And then they sort of found that he had this love of football and he didn't know anything about football. And they sort of made him into this star athlete and then watched him blossom. And that's the feel-good story, right? The privileged white family plucks the impoverished black youth from the streets and, like, raises him up and makes something of him and whatever, right? Which is a problematic.
The movie really does him dirty because they present him as, like, basically being, like, special needs.
Yeah, and so that's part of what his issue is. So, he is not the hero of this film. Okay, the white savior in Sandra Bullock is absolutely the person who's being painted as a hero in the film The Blind Side, and she has, this woman in real life has milked this, right? Like, her and her husband have gone on press junkets and they made a ton of money off that movie, and they have sold their story and whatever. And so the story now, I'm sorry, Evan, you can resume telling what's happening now in real time with Michael.
Yeah, so he's now claiming, and I'm guessing this has probably been like a long time, maybe trying to get litigation going or something like that. I don't know, but so this family, though, they were independently wealthy. They owned like fucking 100 fast food franchises,
right?
Like a bunch of different ones: Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, fucking Long John Silver's. And so they were
God, Long John Silver's. I would love. So I'm supposed to go on this road trip. End of September. I'm gonna help a friend move across the country, and like, I would love to stop in at a Long John Silver's. I can't promise you that I'll like eat a full meal there, but I've never, because we live on the East Coast, dog. There's no
that doesn't
exist here. They tried to open a Red Lobster down near where Evan is once, and it just got boycotted.
I think there's one on the Cape somewhere too. Maybe I feel
a Long John's or a Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. Yeah.
That's hysterical. Their cheddar biscuits are good. I know I've eaten at a Red Lobster.
I've never eaten Red Lobster.
I think I must have had it when I was in Arizona.
You can get better seafood at literally every restaurant around here.
I know. You go to Geno's, Mean Jeans.
Yeah, Mean Jeans. But yeah, so anyway, like, this fucking, like, rich piece of shit family, they're already rich, and they sign, like, the conservator. They get this kid to sign away a conservatorship.
Right. Oh, so sorry, that's what I meant to say. They explained to him that conservatorship was basically adoption for individuals who were over 18.
Yeah.
Which is not what conservatorship is, but that's how they explained it to him. And so in his mind, this was just the legal loophole or go around for a family to adopt someone who was technically an adult.
Yeah. And but no, that just means that they basically get the rights to him and get to like control all of his money.
Yeah.
And so like so this family's already fucking rich.
Yeah.
And then they're already millionaires, and then they get the conservatorship, and then they make millions and millions and millions more off of this fucking movie, and don't give him a cent of it.
Yeah.
It's unclear his NFL money. I don't know if they had any control over that.
I don't know. I don't know how that goes, and I don't know that the conservatorship persists. I think he's definitely outside of that. I think that he's now suing them for millions of dollars. And his claim is, which, I think we're both inclined to believe, that's what it sounds like. His claim is that he was essentially duped, and he's been portrayed in this movie, which he is not a fan of. He didn't sign off on this. In this movie, he's portrayed, as Evan said, as basically just being a dummy. And he has now quite eloquently explained, like, no, I was not stupid. I was in a really difficult situation, and I didn't have access to the kind of education that I would have liked. And he said, frankly, as anyone who knows me knows, like, as soon as I received it, I flourished. I thrived.
Yeah.
I was presented as being someone who was totally ignorant of football instead of someone who didn't have the opportunity to excel. And as soon as I received that opportunity, I excelled. He is the one who made this story what it is. Without him being the talent and the person that he is, and actually overcoming these things himself, this story wouldn't exist. And sure, it's nice that he had gained sort of a financial safety net, which anyone who has experienced the benefits of will agree is a wonderful thing to have. But like, he's the star of the fucking story, and the movie and therefore the public understanding of the true story has not framed it that way at all.
Yeah, no, and but so like I don't know. So these fucking like pieces of shit, just like, and the thing that's crazy to me about it is that it's not just that they like took advantage of him,
right?
And then that they like boxed him out of the money that they made, but also that they needed to have a movie made saying that they're like good people.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. Like they are the most American people on earth. They are just these like fucking like franchisee fascist assholes that are just like, basically just selling junk to people, taking advantage of the workers there, and then they fucking take advantage of this kid, take all the money from basically his story, and then also need to be told that they're good people.
Right. Yeah. And feed that narrative to everyone around them to say, "Hey, this is how it went down. We saved this boy." Yeah. And like, I'm sure in an element, so I think that's also part of the genesis of this lawsuit is this guy feeling like he was convinced. He was convinced that he was a part of the family. They referred to him as their son. Their children referred to him as their brother. He felt like he had a family. And then finding out, what a conservatorship actually entails, and again, this is something that's been really popularized with the whole Britney Spears saga over the last few years. Now that I think has proven to be a little more nuanced, because Britney is clearly dealing with some stuff, but
she's not to make too light of it, but she's fucking insane.
Yeah, she's been having her own struggles. So sure, but like at least the concept of conservatorship, I think, has been brought into the public eye through that, and I think that the realization that like, hey, like, wait, were these people just like, was I just like a cash grab for them? And here's the thing: the fact that can't be easily silenced by their having a conversation with him leads me to believe that at least on some level that's what it was.
Yeah, they literally didn't give him a dime from the movie.
Right, and so it's just, I don't know, man. It's tough. I think that if there was some honest love here, I don't think that this issue would come up. I think if these people really cared about this person, and if he was their son. And if they thought of him like a son, or at least in the manner that, through my personal experience, that a parent thinks of a son, there'd be no need for any of this.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty clear. He obviously, he's in his late 30s now. He's a little older than us. And he has had sort of a life-altering realization here, And I wish him well. I hope that he fucking milks these people for what he deserves.
Yep.
Because he's the hero of the story.
Man, fucking Long John Silver's, dude.
I know. They are evil, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross.
There ain't no oceans near Tennessee, man.
No. So, okay, on a funny note, so everybody by now knows I'm in the service industry, right? I had a gentleman sitting at my bar and was asking, he was on a date and he was like, what should we get? And I was like, well, this time of year we're getting, killer seafood in, we have beautiful like sushi grade tuna. We're getting really, really good oysters. And he was like, well, normally I don't eat seafood unless I can see the ocean. And I was just like, dog, like, the ocean's like 20 minutes that way. Like, where do you...
What the fuck does he mean by that?
I know. I'm like, where do you think you're at? And he was like, well, yeah, but what is that? Wingersheik Beach? And I was like, well, yeah, that is one of them. But like,
the seafood... Does he think the seafood would go bad?
No, right. And so I literally, and I was kind of busting this guy's balls because I was like, dude, you know how coasts work, right? Like Wingersheik Beach is there, but also just the ocean keeps going up in both directions. Like,
Yeah, it's not like somebody waded out into that beach and caught the oysters.
No, it's like Gloucester's right there. It's a fishing port, you know. And God forbid it comes from New Bedford. What is that? An hour and a half away, packed on ice? So and that's a drive. I mean, there's people that fly their shit in and eat, you know, at, for example, Long John Silver's are eating seafood in Iowa. Like, I get that. I'm like, dude, you're not. Where do you think you are? You're in Massachusetts. The ocean's right fucking there. I just thought it was funny. So he's eating these oysters, and he's like, "These are good." And I'm like, "Yeah, they survived the fucking trek.
Yeah, they survived the long transit.
They managed to make it. Good to know, man. Thanks." Oh, Jesus. What do you, just because I don't eat seafood unless I can see the ocean. Fuck? First of all, who wants to sit at a waterfront seafood restaurant every time they eat seafood? Those places are always tourist traps. Like, some of them are good, but like they're always tacky. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, that was just a little thought that I had. Fucking people.
Yeah, that guy sucks. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he sucks big time. Speaking of sucking, I'd like to tell you guys how I feel about fucking porno.
All right. Yep.
Anyway, fuck it. See you guys later. I don't know. Is there anything else? You want to do anything else?
No. Yeah. Maybe don't tell people to listen to this episode, but tell people about us and to listen to other episodes.
Yeah, this is a deep cut. Just fucking scrap it.
Let's fucking get rid of it, dude.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, well,
anyway,
thanks for listening. And we hope that, you know, as many of you as are able will check out Cake Farts. And sorry to Ecuador, you know, sucks. Sorry we did all the shit that made you guys so fucked up now. And
then, we've got some... real history. We keep saying this, but it's coming next time, so...
I don't know. I'm not going to make any more promises.
Nah, mine will be done, so...
Evan's will definitely be done.
Yeah, I'm promising.
I'm going to Chicago next week, y'all, so release schedule
might not have one
weird,
next week, but it'll be for that then.
We'll have it out sooner rather than later. We'll say that.
All
right. Well, goodbye and good luck.
And Godspeed.
And may the sun ever warm your back,
but not your front.
No, well, because that would mean that you died you're dead.
Oh, well, if you're just walking down the street. All right. Anyway, cool. See ya.
Been born with 6 fingers on each hand, he'd also have 12 toes, or so the theory goes. Well, with 12 fingers, he probably would have invented 2 more digits when he invented his number system. Then, if he'd saved a 0 for the end, he could count and multiply by 12 just as easily as you and I do by tens. Now, if man had been born with 6 fingers on each hand, he'd probably count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, dec, L, do. Dec and L being 2 entirely new signs, meaning 10 and 11, single digits. And his 12 do would have been written 1, 0. Get it? That'd be swell to multiply by 12.
Hey, little 12 toes, I hope you're well. Must be some far-flung planet where you dwell. If we were together, you could be my cousin. Out here we call them a dozen. Hey, little 12 toes, please come back.
Now, if man had been born with 6 fingers on each hand, his children would have them too. And when they played hide and seek, they'd count by 6s fast. And when they studied piano, they'd do their 6-fingered exercises. And when they went to school, they'd learn the golden rule and how to multiply by 12 easily. Just put down 0. But me, I have to learn it the hard way. Let me see.